Before we even get into the bulk of this episode, I really want y'all to hear me when I say this, and I want to make this clear from the outset. So listen to me. Y'all better strap in for this episode. This is not your granddaddy or your father's podcast. This is going to be a very exhilarating episode. This is going to be a packed episode, and I don't want to hear Eris. You've said that for the first 3 episodes. No, I want y'all to, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you need to look at my face. If you listen to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, I appreciate y'all for listening, but I want y'all to really hear me when I say this. You better strap in for this episode because we're going to go fast and we got a lot to talk about. This is not a game. This is not a drill. This is a live from Blueland podcast. Roll my intro. Episode 4 from the 404. It's the live from Blueland podcast with your boy, Blueland Ayers. What we got on tap for today's episode? Anson Carter is ATL royalty. Leading the way for Alpharetta Sports and Entertainment Group, Atlanta has submitted a formal request to the NHL for an expansion franchise. It rocked the hockey world and the city, but wait till you hear the details of a potential bidding war going on in the A for a team. The Red Wings can't buy a win right now. Can they get the motors going again in the Motor City? We're going around the league with some news from Matt Rempe's suspension to Kuznetsov taking flight again to a near goalie fight. And who the hell stole the Jagr Bobbleheads? Man, y'all better strap in. I'm coming at you. Give me a minute. Y'all thought y'all was gonna catch me slipping today. I got orange juice and I got water. Y'all not gonna catch me slipping today. I'm not gonna have me parched today because we got a lot to talk about because it's episode 4 live from the 404 of the Live from Blueland podcast with your boy Ayers Brown, but y'all know me as Blueland Ayers. Let me make sure my level's right. We recording, my camera recording, and y'all, I'm ready to get into it. And let me keep my phone close by. As usual, a lot to talk about. I always tell y'all, the world of hockey, we always keep moving, but buddy, we need to be moving in progress and improvement with this podcast. I'm glad that y'all have loved it so far, everybody who's listened. No matter if you listened on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your Apple Podcasts, not Apple Music. You're not getting this on Apple Music. Stop saying that. Apple Podcasts. But wherever you get your podcasts. If you've been listening, if you've been watching on YouTube, if you've seen the clips on TikTok, on Instagram, I appreciate y'all. And I'm glad y'all have loved it, but we need to improve. I keep saying we want these episodes to run 20 minutes to 30 minutes on average. Have I done that once? No. And I guarantee in episode 4, I'm still not going to be able to do it. Get that timer fired up. 30 minutes are starting right now, but we got a lot to talk about today, including some news. Oh my God, it's like every single episode. I'm not even going to say maybe it's the live from Blueland podcast effect, but it seems like in every episode I've got the chance to do, there's been some big event going on with Atlanta, either coming up or in the news. But that's what happens when you up for expansion, baby. When you at the forefront of the pack when it comes to expansion. I'm very excited about everything going on in this city when it comes to getting these threads back here on the ice in the NHL permanently. Oh man, you want to talk about being excited? I am freaking thrilled. So we got a lot of things to talk about around the world of hockey. This is not just an Atlanta hockey podcast. I've told y'all that before. But on the subject of Atlanta, oh man, I know you saw the news. No matter where you live, you could live in the Sahara Desert and you probably heard it. Anson Carter. Oh man, I could talk about this man and my admiration for Anson Carter. Blueland Ayers Brown needs to meet Anson Carter, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen in the future, and I'm not gonna rush the process or anything. But it needs to happen in the future. But Anson Carter, you might have just cemented your legacy as Atlanta royalty if you hadn't already, as a staple in the hockey community here. There was some big news this week. If you're a sports fan, you probably heard it. But I remember I got the ESPN notification in the car, and I just sent a kiss up to the heavens, to God and the hockey gods. I had to send a bunch. Anson Carter, but he led the way on behalf of Alpharetta Sports and Entertainment Group. It was an announcement that I believe dropped 3 days ago. I'm recording this on Friday. Why? Because I have to go out of town again this weekend. I'm going to Nashville, celebrating my best friend's birthday. But Anson Carter led the way for Alpharetta Sports and Entertainment Group. And what did they do? How did they make headlines that shook the hockey world this week? They submitted a formal request to the National Hockey League to initiate the expansion process and requesting a team return permanently to the Metro Atlanta area. Oh, and if you rep Blueland like I do, and you from the ATL, isn't that what you've been waiting for? That's the exact news you wanted. You didn't want no rumors. You want arena plans and everything like that, renderings, the news of them reaching out to the league. But this is what you wanted to. This is exactly what you wanted. On behalf of this metro area, getting in the league's face. We likes you and we wants you. And we want you back here permanently. Very exciting. I know when y'all got the notification, y'all were probably thrilled. Unless you're listening to this from a place that hates the idea of the NHL coming back to Atlanta, which is crazy because you call yourself a hockey fan. But when it comes to a group of hockey fans, an entire metropolitan area getting screwed out of a team by ownership, specifically with this team, the Atlanta Thrashers, you're cool with that, but you call yourself a hockey fan, right? It's funny how that works. But if you're in support of that, and especially if you're from the ATL and you want to see the return of the NHL here, how exhilarating was that freaking news? I was over the moon, and it was off the heels of on Monday. I put a post on a TikTok and Instagram. Maybe it was just on TikTok, but if you follow me on socials, you saw the post of me talking about Vernon Krause. I had to make that video because last week I was at Universal with my best friends on another trip in Orlando, and the news broke of Vernon Krause saying, getting the vote that we want from the NHL, and when we put shovels in the ground and everything. He had the exclusive interview with Zach Klein of WSB TV. Shout out to Channel 2 Action News. And that was some big news too for the NHL here, because we know Vernon Krause leading the way for the gathering at South Forsyth. He said, if everything goes to plan, we'll be dropping a puck in the NHL as an Atlanta franchise in 2027 for the 2027-28 season. That's a bold claim. That's big time. That's a big, I'm not going to say what it is, but it's a big move. It's a big something move. You can fill in the blanks, but this is a family podcast. But that was a big move. And then Anson Carter does this. This was big news. Essentially, on behalf of Alpharetta Sports and Entertainment Group, if you saw the news, I'm going to recap it. The plans to bring the NHL to a redevelopment of North Point Mall. If you remember, and I talked about this on my post where I covered this as well on TikTok and Instagram. The full version was on TikTok. John Buccigross broke the news of the NHL will return to Atlanta again in Alpharetta. You remember that post that broke hockey Twitter last March. We were under the assumption, it will be in that general area. So when you've got Vernon Krause and the ownership group that he has and the gathering being approved for South Forsyth and everything, we were like, that's where it's going to be. What a curveball that AC and his group just threw us. Because there was always going to be a plan to get the NHL to return to the Metro Atlanta area in Alpharetta. It just wasn't always the gathering. There were two separate ownership groups making the effort to get it back here. That's pretty freaking exhilarating. I just did not see that coming. I assumed maybe AC would be a part of what Vernon Krause was doing. We don't know everybody part of his ownership group, but we know everybody part of AC's ownership group, because this formal request and this release, oh boy, they went into detail about what they about. If you in Blueland and you rep Blueland like me, and you in Metro Atlanta and you hoping for the NHL to come back here, you got two separate entities with deep pockets trying to bring the NHL back to your home. You can't do nothing but win. And if you didn't want it to happen in this city because you a hater, oh boy, maybe you should pick a new sport to watch and we'll replace you as fans, because this is the worst thing that could happen for you. This is the worst thing that could happen for you. But I tried to tell you, don't feel sad for you. Clearly the hockey gods are working in somebody's favor, and it's not yours. It's on behalf of Atlanta. Karma is something, and it's an explicit term, but this isn't quite an explicit podcast. So this is not the same effort as the group as Vernon Krause and the gathering at South Forsyth. So we got two separate entities. We got the gathering at South Forsyth. You got the team behind the Battery at Truist Park with the Braves on that. I think it's ASM Group will be managing the arena. That was announced in response, kind of, to AC and ASC Group announcing, the formal request to the NHL to come back to Atlanta. But in addition to that, Stafford Sports helping with the arena construction. I talked about, Madison Square Garden, Bridgestone Arena, Climate Pledge. They've got the clientele and they've got the history of doing this. So the Gathering at South Forsyth doing their thing. But this is a redevelopment of North Point Mall, which we were hearing rumors of at the beginning, but it got lost in translation. Who would have thought we would have two ownership groups working on behalf of Blueland to get a team back here? Hope I'm not talking in circles. I'm just excited. So my plan was to read the release of what was going on with this. I don't think y'all want to hear me just read. I imagine y'all don't, but I do have the release here. And you can find it. It's publicly accessible on the internet, of course. But it was released on March 12th, 2024. The first line, Alpharetta Sports and Entertainment Group, ASE Group, announced today its formal request to the National Hockey League to commence an expansion process aimed at bringing an NHL franchise back to Atlanta. Very exciting. And it goes in depth about a lot of things. I touched on this in my previous post. I mean, they go in depth about a lot of things. You hear about Anson Carter kind of being at the forefront, the seasoned NHL veteran, the culture of the NHL's Player Inclusion Coalition. We know what AC's done in this hockey community with the Atlanta Gladiators, with the diversification of the game. So you can see more fans like me, because when you see more fans that look like and come from the community of Blueland heirs, you get more fans, full stop. Or is that too woke for you? You should be all about having more hockey fans. And, buddy, I don't know if you noticed, but by population density, Atlanta's the blackest city on the continent. I don't care if they put the freaking team in Brunswick. There was gonna be black hockey fans. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that right now. First of all, Georgia got a lot of black people in general. But Anson Carter, the strides that he's made in Atlanta for hockey with the Gladiators, he has proven that he knows how to run a hockey team. He's looking to showcase it again. Oh man, very exciting. This release had a lot that went into it. Already got an arena developer on it. I think it's Frank Gehry or Frank Jerry. Gonna cut his teeth on this. I'm looking for the line where he appeared on this. But this group does already own the land at North Point Mall. Just another card in their favor. Architectural legend Frank Gehry. I hope it's not, or Gehry, Jerry. There's so many ways you could pronounce this. I hope I'm not butchering it. And it is primed for NHL hockey and premier concerts. What it also will come with, beyond sports and entertainment, the development will offer a diverse array of amenities, including hotels, a performing arts venue, an esports facility. They thinking about the future. Esports is the future. They thinking about the future. Various residential, retail, and dining, conference, and community spaces, promising to cultivate a vibrant hub of activity and economic prosperity. Essentially, a lot of the elements of what the Battery is and a lot of what the Gathering at South Forsyth is going to do. Brush your shoulders off. You should be excited about that. In addition to that, something that stuck out to me from this is that it will also include top tier practice and community facilities alongside a professional level outdoor stadium for soccer and or lacrosse. If you don't know, which I had to look this up when they said that because I looked more into it. I said, why would they do an outdoor stadium right next to it? What are they going to bring there? We have a lacrosse team here, but it's indoor lacrosse. Shout out to the Georgia Swarm. They share the building with the Atlanta Gladiators and the Atlanta Vibe. Shout out to the Vibe. But Atlanta is apparently up for expansion in the NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League. To me, that was a leak that this will be the home also, right next door, of the NWSL in the coming years too. More fan traffic going to the general area. It's just more and more success. It's like you can't stop. This. Listen, this was a heavy hitter move. You even got a quote in here. Hope my cough doesn't come up. I've had a little bit of a cough in the last week. Hope it didn't come up in this podcast too much. I've got a cough quota. You got a quote in here from the mayor. The city of Alpharetta is excited for the possibility to be home to NHL hockey, one of the fastest growing and most exciting sports experiences in the world. Alpharetta Mayor Jim Gilvin. He's very excited about this. Well, in addition to this, the mayor also stated easy access provided by Georgia Highway 400 and planned expansion of MARTA public transit in Alpharetta guarantees hockey fans an easy commute and world-class experience. Now, that is an ace in your deck. One thing, and you can call it however you want to, but y'all got to understand, if you're going to be called what we believe will be the Atlanta Thrashers, and it better be, and it will be, But if you're going to be an Atlanta NHL team coming back here, the same way the Braves and the Hawks and the Falcons and United do, regardless of location, you do have to embrace your whole metro area. One way that you can do that is through MARTA. Is through MARTA. One thing that people were clamoring for, whether I know some people didn't want it at all, but there were a lot of people. We want MARTA to at least be able to go to the arena, and you weren't getting that and aren't getting that at the Gathering of South Forsyth. The expansion of one express lane, and not even everybody has access to express, to be honest, wasn't going to cut it. Now, I still think that building was going to be full, because if you were going to go to the games, you were going to go. If you got to get a jetpack and go, you was going to make a way. But having MARTA expansion on behalf of this North Point Mall development with AC and ASC Group and what they're trying to do, that's an ace in a deck, and that's another point in a column, to be honest. Knowing that you can catch MARTA to go to this planned arena development. I just spit. I hope that didn't come up on camera. That's crazy. My thoughts on both. Do I have a preference over one or the other? Cough quota. At this time, I'm really not sure, y'all. At this time, I'm really not sure if I have a preference over one or the other. What's crazy is you don't have to have too much stock in one or the other. I want to see renderings of what the North Point Mall redevelopment will be. I'm very excited about that. And for what it's worth, it is 5.5, I think it's like 5.5 miles away from the Gathering at South Forsyth, but it is in Fulton County. I'm in DeKalb. I'm in Buckhead. But Atlanta spans into DeKalb and Fulton County. But Alpharetta, and I know the Gathering at South Forsyth also has an Alpharetta address for what it's worth. But knowing that it will also be in Fulton County, I'm going to be honest, there's some things that go in the direction of Anson Carter here. I know some people don't want to hear about this, and I don't want to hear none of that woke BS. I'm going to call it how it is. You can type Forsyth County into YouTube and let me know what comes up. That episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show, I get it, dude. It was in the 80s. Or maybe the 90s, but it was in like the 80s. But the optics of Forsyth County, and I know the Gathering at South Forsyth is like barely into Forsyth County. Like you can use the sidewalk to get out of Forsyth from the Gathering where the plot of land is. That's not even a joke. You can walk out of Forsyth. But the optics, you have to understand that although I do know people that look like Blueland heirs, the black community would have still been going to those games, and I would have did my part to make sure that they were comfortable as well as many other minority hockey fans. And they would have embraced that. One thing I love about the Gathering at South Forsyth, you can call it whatever you want to. I saw somebody being ignorant on Twitter. The Gathering at South Forsyth, the renderings for it, you see people of all races in it. And that's what you've got to do. You got to showcase that this is going to be a diverse thing, because Atlanta right now has the opportunity to appeal to a wide array of people. And that's what you got to do. It don't have to be no rah campaign like that, but you got to let everybody know that they're welcome. So I do like the renderings at the Gathering at South Forsyth, paying attention to that. But the optics of not being in Forsyth and still being in the northern suburbs where you can appeal to hockey fans. Listen, AC, he kind of got the upper hand there. I'm not saying one has it over the other, because the Gathering it's still a $2 billion arena development with some heavy hitters and project, contributors to it as well. It can still win. Vernon Krause has already talked about, and he's met with Commissioner Bettman, Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley. He's talked about they like this plan. They're very interested. We all know that they are. So, I mean, he met with them a long time ago, and clearly they've looked at this plan and everything. I don't know who's going to get this freaking team. Do I have a preference? I might prefer AC, but I need more news, because this is a curveball that I did not see coming at the plate at all. And you probably didn't see it either. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know we were going to have two freaking ownership groups on behalf of the ATL fighting to bring a team here. Or so we thought, two ownership groups. Pierre LeBrun is one of the top NHL insiders. He don't miss with his sources. He was one of the first people that said, listen, there's going to be more expansion. You thought it stopped at the Golden Knights and the Kraken? No, there's going to be more. And people scoffed at it and thought it was crazy, but look where we're at now. Atlanta's formally requesting an expansion franchise, and that's off the heels of just under 2 months ago when Ryan Smith and his ownership group in Salt Lake City did the same thing. Now you got one in the West and East. Coincidence? I think not. That's an Incredibles quote. I hope that did not blow y'all's ears out. I'm sorry. I gotta stop being loud like that. Anyway, Pierre LeBrun yesterday, he was a guest on TSN Overdrive. He revealed something, and this was sent to me on Instagram. He revealed something on TSN Overdrive that almost blew the frontal lobe in my cerebral cortex out of my head. He said there are 3 ownership groups. There is a third ownership group in the ATL that has reached out to the NHL to also bring a team here to Atlanta. Y'all, you can't make this up. There are 3 separate ownership groups that have reached out to the NHL on behalf of bringing a team back to Atlanta. Who the hell is the third group? I don't even know. And it seemed today, so I think it was Elliot Friedman. There's been so many people that have talked about this. Elliot Friedman today, I think on 32 Thoughts, said there's another ownership group. And I thought he was talking about Vernon Krause, but he would know something about the gathering at South Forsyth. A lot of the hockey world does now. But he was like, there's another ownership group. I don't know anything about this ownership group. So maybe that's him alluding to the third one. But it almost seemed like he was still talking about 2. But to know that there's 3 ownership groups here, that is crazy. Again, I want to reiterate, if you're an Atlanta hockey fan and you got 3 different billionaire entities and groups fighting to bring the NHL back to your city, a city that was wronged in the past and never truly given a fair shake at the NHL. But they don't say third time's a charm for no reason. A saying I'm starting to hate because Northerners think that they're so clever and witty. You're not. You're stupid and you're corny. I'm just going to be completely honest with a lot of y'all. How many times can you recycle the same damn joke in like a 10-minute span? Nonetheless, Atlanta, this is the best thing that really could have happened for y'all. And if you oppose the NHL coming back to Atlanta, this is the worst that could have happened for you. This sucks so bad for you. Do I feel bad? Not really. Hockey gods work in our favor. And I already told you about karma. That's what y'all get. You don't get to bail on this city. NHL is going to right a freaking wrong when it comes to this market. And I'm very excited about that. What I didn't expect was all of this. People know that the Atlanta market is very lucrative. As of yesterday, the 6th biggest metro area in the United States. I think 9th on the continent. Oh, you can't ignore us. The NHL is coming back. Elliot Friedman, Jeff Merrick today on 32 Thoughts, saying we are marching and inching towards an inevitable. But a lot of people are saying that the hockey guy is like, it's looking like this is going to happen eventually. I mean, there's an assortment of sources that are pretty much saying this at this point. Again, I've talked about the timelines because y'all lived through it like I did of when Vegas and Seattle came into the league. A lot of this lines up with going from speculation and rumors to meetings between the city representatives and the cities and the ownership groups in the league. It seems as if the next process is the NHL opening up formally the expansion process, and then people submit paperwork and things like that, and their formal bid for a team. The only difference here is the NHL first with the Golden Knights and eventually the Kraken was like, well, we'd like to expand. We'd like to go to 31 and eventually 32 teams. And you had cities respond. I think the same thing did happen here. It was just behind closed doors. I'm sorry. This expansion stuff did just not come out of nowhere. This was orchestrated. Now, why all of a sudden would these cities be jumping in? Houston, obviously Salt Lake City and Atlanta, but Cincinnati, Kansas City, Quebec City, why all of a sudden would they be jumping in out of nowhere if they weren't given some type of inkling or insight that the NHL would expand again? And most people have accepted because the NHL could shut this down with ease, but it always seems to be we're not in the expansion process yet. We don't have a formal plan for expansion yet. Now, why don't you just stop it at we're not going to expand at all? It'd be a whole lot easier. It'd be easy to do a press release like that, but that's not what they do. Because we're going to be at 34 and eventually 36 teams. Some people even think 40. I think when I'm an old man, it'll be 40. And, my father's generation didn't grow up with 30 hockey teams or 30 NBA teams or 30 MLB teams. It was unfathomable when my dad was a boy. And look where we're at now. When I'm an old man, there will be 40, NHL teams, 40 NFL teams, 40 NBA, for sure 40 MLS. It'll be at that point in pro sports. But I will say this about the groups. Very exciting time in Atlanta. ESPN, Bleacher Report, the headlines and everything. Is the NHL going back to Atlanta? This was a formal expansion request. That's big time. You get in their face. Remember when I told you Thrashers Night would have an aftermath? And I said on my Instagram caption, get ready for what's coming next. I hope you've been ready. Because we're not finished here. We're not finished until an NHL team is back here. And we're thriving and having fun at the games, and you know what's coming, Blueland. But I will say this. There's multiple different billion-dollar entities trying to bring the NHL back to Atlanta right now. Some people have said, why can't they just merge and be one common ownership group? I'm going to say this. Sports, as I've stated before, I stated it in my first post talking about the NHL potentially returning to Atlanta and expansion and things of that nature late last fall. Like what, November, October, November? It was close to when I started being Blueland Heiress. Y'all haven't known me for that long. I stated that sports are a business. Now, although these different ownership groups, ASC, Krause ownership group, and this mystery box ownership group, who the hell are they? I can't wait to hear from them. That's gonna be. You know what? I'm gonna leak some news very soon when it comes to ownership groups in Atlanta. Blueland Era is gonna have a very special leak for y'all very soon. Stay tuned. But sports are business, and I talked about that. When you've got these different groups who are trying to bring the NHL back to Atlanta permanently, nonetheless, there's a lot of money on the line right now, and this is still a lucrative business deal to make money as well. Even if they want it to thrive in Atlanta, you're trying to make some money off of this too, and you should if you're trying to get into sports ownership. I mean, you got to. I mean, it's a little bit of a hobby, but it's a business investment too. Somebody is gonna win this. Somebody is gonna get an NHL team back to Atlanta, but it's gonna be their arena development plan, and it's gonna be their ownership group that gets it. The other two groups, it looks like, will be the losers. I can't imagine, although they have somewhat common visions, they are on three different missions to a degree. I can't imagine that the losers will be cool just merging with people that stole their multi-billion-dollar opportunity. The last thing we need is any of these groups merging. I'm going to be completely honest. Keep them separate. May the best ownership group win on behalf of my city. But they all have a clear mission and goal to get the NHL back here permanently, and they've got cohesive units to make it happen. What you don't need is adding people to your roster, throwing off the dynamic and throwing off the vision. I say that because Atlanta, you should be familiar with that. When there's too many people trying to do different things with a hockey team in Atlanta, and it screws over the city. The last thing we need is another Atlanta Spirit group saga. I won't freaking have it. May the best ownership group win. Whoever loses, sorry. Try to put your money in a different business investment. But everybody seems like they have enough money to make this happen. They have a clear vision to do this and bring it back to the ATL. I'm going to keep doing my part reporting on it. NHL to Atlanta will continue to do their part. The other, credible sources around the hockey community and Atlanta hockey as a whole, they'll continue to do their part. But we don't need the groups merging. I'm not going to lie. I will talk about more on this because we still got a lot to talk about, baby. The NHL is coming back to Atlanta. We're inching towards an inevitability. But I've been said that. No matter if people go kicking and screaming or how much they want to slander this city, a wrong will be made right. I tried to tell y'all, but I'm going to be laughing at the end. And don't say I didn't tell you. I told you every step of the way. I ain't been wrong yet. Y'all know exactly what's coming. We got a lot more to talk about on this topic. I'll talk about the team name, what I think it'll be. Like I said, I think it's going to be the Thrashers, but I got more to expand on that. And I've even got my own team names that we need to talk about in the future, but I want to save that for down the line, and other things adjacent to this topic in the future. But boy, Blueland, what freaking huge news this week. It's an hourglass moment. The hourglass is running out of sand. I think the birds are getting ready to fly back down south, but don't say you didn't see it coming. We're going to transition. We're going to talk about some other stuff around the world of hockey, and then I'm going to wrap this freaking podcast up, which I'm pretty sure is going to run over again. Let's go around the league. This man, he is a tower and he's taken the world by storm. He's taken the hockey world by storm. He plays so physical, and it's got the best of him here. He went a little too far here. Matt Rempe, New York Ranger. It's a step below Linsanity in the city of New York right now. I mean, he's just all the rage, really, in the world of hockey. But he's serving a 4-game suspension after a hit on Monday against Jonas Siegenthaler. High hit, elbow to the face, and he got 4 games for it. Here's the thing. He's tall, but my thing, I saw the hit. If you haven't seen the hit, you can go watch it. He's tall. We know that. This 6'7" man. So the nature of him hitting is not the same as everybody else. He's a tower. He's a giant. However, he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt. He's not going to get the benefit of the doubt here, given his physical nature that he makes known in every single damn game where he takes the ice. But also the dynamic of this being, it was a Rangers versus Devils game. You wasn't about to get the benefit of the doubt on that hit. I ain't gonna lie, Rempe. You're not gonna get the benefit of the doubt, player. But it is what it is. So he's serving a 4-game suspension. We can't. I will say this. Rangers fans, get mad at me if you want. We're not gonna be able to keep using the he's tall thing. We're not gonna keep being able to use the he's taller, so sometimes his arms are gonna flail, or naturally he's gonna be hitting high because he's taller than everyone. But we're not gonna be able to continue to use that excuse. If this level of physicality and the nature in which he plays, he continues to roll out hits like this, we're just not gonna be able to use that. So Matt Rempe, he's serving a 4-game suspension. The nature of the hit, he went high. Again, he's gonna go high anyway. 6'7". He really needs to sub in for the Knicks, but. Just the nature of the game. It was a Rangers-Devils game. It's a rivalry game. They're already physical. Listen, and just the way he makes his physical play kind of known every game. He's already had some questionable plays on the ice where people thought, maybe they need to sit him down, remove him from the game, give him a suspension. Since he's come in the league since the Stadium Series. He got caught for this one. 4-game suspension, Matt Rempe. Sorry. See you in a couple games. I'm not sure how many the Rangers have played. He should only have to serve like 1 or 2 more at this point. It's Friday. The hit was on Monday, and then he was literally suspended the next day. They were quick on that. They ain't wasting no time. So, shifting gears, we're gonna talk about another team we're actually gonna talk about the Devils and another team in New York, the Buffalo Sabres, because the Global Series for 2024 and 2025 was announced this week. I love these. I love the Global Series. I freaking love international games. So just quickly, the Buffalo Sabres and the New Jersey Devils, they'll open next season at the O2 Arena in Prague, Czechia. In Prague, though. I do know the city. But it'll be on October 4th and 5th. I thought the O2 Arena was in London. There are multiple O2 arenas. That's pretty fire. So that'll be one of the Global Series games next year, and then we'll have another one. The Panthers will play the Dallas Stars at Nokia Arena in Tampere, Finland. And that'll be at the beginning of November, though, on the 1st and 2nd. I love Global Series games. I don't care what people say. It's like, most people are like, that's the globalization of the game. We know the game is huge in Europe. Give them a show. We should always be going out there a couple times a year to have games so that they can be in close proximity to the NHL. Love it. Global Series popping off again next year. So, pretty awesome. Sabres Devils in Prague on the 4th and 5th of October. Then essentially a month from then. Florida Panthers, Dallas Stars in Finland, November 1st and 2nd. Global Series is set for next season. We had a near line brawl on Tuesday night between Chicago and Anaheim in Chicago. I'm going to be completely real with y'all. I don't even know how this started. I don't even remember how it started. It just got out of control. Radko Gudas was involved. Oh my God. Shocker. Yeah, Radko Gudas was involved, and he took somebody down to the ice and he started giving him some haymakers, dude. And I do remember that. And Peter Mrazek wasn't feeling that. He went over there to stop him, step in there. He just wasn't feeling that. He had to step in for his boy. Next thing I know, I'm watching this on, I think, Bleacher Report Open Ice, BR Open Ice. And the next thing you know, John Gibson is streaking down the ice from his net. And we've got a near goalie fight. He's in there trying to grab Peter Mrazek. He's grabbing him. The refs are separating him and everything. They could have been caught John Gibson before they even got that close. We almost had a goalie fight. We didn't get one. John Gibson got thrown out of the game for crossing the red line trying to fight Mrazek. He probably needed to be pulled anyway. I'm not really sure what was going on in that game, but I think he had 20 saves on 26 shots. It wasn't no great game. But we almost got a goalie fight, and as a goalie, I love it. As a hockey fans, we love it, but we didn't get that. So it was kind of like a near line brawl, but close call. If you saw that, it was some pretty good chaos. I hope you had your popcorn for that, because it was good entertainment. On what night was that? On Tuesday night. It was some good Tuesday night entertainment. Y'all remember when SmackDown for WWE used to be on Tuesday nights? That's so crazy that it used to be. Why was it? Anyway, what the hell were they doing? And then NXT, I think. Okay, anyway, I'm not gonna get into the. Y'all want a wrestling podcast? Okay, so this is other news, but I'm not even gonna comment on the Coyotes arena situation. They've been going through trouble getting a permanent home since I was in middle school. As of what, 10 months ago, I'm a college graduate. As of last year, I'm a college graduate. They've been struggling with a permanent home since I was in middle school. So I don't even really want to touch on the Coyotes thing. Apparently, there's some land that they've keyed in for that they've keyed in on. It's for auction. But what's crazy is they may not bid for it until the summer, until June. Oh my freaking dude, get a building! Dang, they get to play in a college arena. Why the hell couldn't the Thrashers just play at Gas South for 5 seconds until we figured it out? But then people want to be pissed that they bringing it back here. You damn right, you better get back here. They playing in a janitor's closet. But y'all wanted to move us in 5 seconds. Man, I'm sorry if I'm yelling too loud. I'm going to have to fix the audio levels on this. But that's just, and I don't even support relocation. First of all, the Coyotes don't give the whole state of Arizona anything to be happy about. They just lost 14 damn games in a row. I think they have 3 wins in their last 20. So it's not like they give the state or the metropolitan area of Phoenix a whole lot to be excited about. So I don't support relocation. I support them not being trash every single season. And they were looking like a near playoff team for a while. But anyway, they've had so many half-ass efforts for management in the league. So I'm only going to give that same half effort in reporting on this. I don't really get it. They got some land that they want to key in on and that they're going to be bidding for in an auction. It's up for auction. They haven't secured it yet. Shocker. I mean, if they don't get this, I hate relocation. I hate it. But apparently, Elliot Friedman was, and other NHL sources are saying if they leave Phoenix anyway, if they leave Arizona, they're just going to give them an expansion franchise. So leave. Go to Salt Lake City. I don't give a damn. So if they're just going to go back there anyway, they said it's a guarantee that they'd go back there. I mean, Atlanta's about to have an arena before Phoenix, Arizona does. Bro, what? For that matter, Salt Lake City's got an arena before the Arizona Coyotes do. Yikes. I'm not trying to go there. I don't like relocation, but and then in other news, I guess Josh Hosang dropped an album. He dropped a rap album. He's made his return to hockey. He's playing with the Florida Everblades in the ECHL. I don't know. I didn't listen to the album. We're gonna also talk about the Coyotes here because they had a good win, I think, last night over the Red Wings. Because I have to shift gears to you, Detroit. What's going on? Y'all want to talk about it? Detroit, what's going on, baby? Y'all want to talk about it? 7 losses in a row, and one to the Coyotes last night. A team that is playing at like an SPHL level. I'm not even playing. The Red Wings are struggling. And I'm going to actually insert the clip. Okay, so it spilled over into practice Wednesday. I'm not going to insert the clip of the fight, but it did spill over into practice, the turmoil that this team's going into. Ben Sherratt and Lucas Raymond got into it at practice. A little bit of beef. Because people are getting pissed. They're tired of the losing ways. The Red Wings have fallen out of the top 8 in the Eastern Conference. They are just outside of a wild card position. I guess the Islanders have the tiebreaker with them because they both, as of right now, and we got games going on as I'm recording this, but they both have 72 points. So the Islanders must have the tiebreaker. Because if the playoffs ended today, the Red Wings will be out of the postseason after they've been in a postseason spot the whole damn year. And now they're out of a spot. That's just... Oh, man. Detroit, I literally told you. The Wings, I literally told the Wings. But not even just me. The Red Wings faithful also told you. I'm going to put the clip of me saying, you hope that it's not another year where the Red Wings start hot and then tail off at the end. I'm going to put the clip.
The Red Wings are starting to tail off a little bit, and you just hope that this is not another case of Detroit starting off with a good bit of momentum and then tailing off the minute the season hits the winter months.
You can't start how Detroit started looking like a playoff team. Really, this whole year. And they were in there fighting. We already know the Atlantic Division is hell, but really the NHL is hell. But the Atlantic Division is tough. You in there fighting with the Panthers, the Bruins, the Maple Leafs, and the Lightning already. Luckily, you don't have to worry about the remainder of the team in the Atlantic. But y'all were in that mix, and y'all were ahead of pretty much everyone that's not in Florida and Boston. And now y'all are out of the entire top 8 in the postseason race. Detroit, fix it quickly. Come on, bro. Y'all was a playoff team all year, and then you're gonna throw this away at the end. The last couple years, because of some of the youth of the team, the youth of the core, I was like, okay, cool. But y'all was supposed to be in the playoffs this year. Come on now, y'all gotta get back in there. You hate for somebody to steal your playoff spot. Just like you hate for somebody to steal your damn Jaromir Jagr bobblehead. Who the hell stole the Jagr bobbleheads? Bro, what did you even gain from that? What do you even gain from that? Yeah, so guys, I think the shipment of the Jagr bobbleheads, they're gonna be coming in at 0600 hours. The shipment should be landing at its deck in the port on the West Coast before it ships across the United States to Pittsburgh. That's when we get in there and we steal the Jagr bobbleheads and we sell it as counterfeit on eBay. What the heck? What? Boy, just become a drug lord. It's like, what? This is one of the dumbest things I've ever had to talk about in terms of hockey. The Pens were supposed to have Jaromir Jagr bobblehead night on Thursday in their game against the Sharks at PPG Paints Arena. But their shipment of like a couple, 10,000 plus, I don't even know how many thousands of Jagr bobbleheads it was, but they were stolen. Penguins president of business operations, Kevin Acklin, he said this in a statement. While the unfortunate incident adds to the legend of Jaromir Jagr, who will be in attendance as our guest for tonight's game, we look forward to resolving this theft and delivering the prized Jagr bobbleheads to their rightful homes with our fans. This is goofy as hell. I'm not even gonna sit up here and lie to y'all, bro. This is one of the goofiest damn things. What kind of news is this? This is a cartoon. NHL Discussion on Instagram, which I know many of us follow, reported that they were being sold on eBay. Can't they just track you and arrest you if they... you about to get booked over bobbleheads? That's crazy. Again, you might as well have went Breaking Bad way. If you're going to try to make some illegal money, you need to go big or go home, not go bobblehead or go home. What the hell are you doing? So apparently the stolen Jagr bobbleheads are being sold on eBay. I personally love getting my stolen cargo off of eBay and purchasing my stolen cargo and merchandise off of eBay, and I've made so many illegal transactions on eBay. It's actually insane. It's whoever did this, you and me, we really the same. And then I watched this game last night. I should have went live doing this. I've only done one Airs game of the week, but we're gonna resume that next week when I get back from Nashville. I get back on Sunday, but what I'm saying is we'll resume it next week. I was watching Carolina and the Panthers last night. The Panthers were in Raleigh. It was a great game for the Cats. It was an exciting game for a 4-0 beatdown shutout. But the Canes know something about 4-0 against the Cats. It's just this time it was reversed. And it was a single game. But I watched this game last night. It should have been Ayers' game of the week. It was a 4-0 game. Freddie Anderson was awesome in net. But you know how it got to 3-0 before it was eventually 4-0? Evgeny Kuznetsov. He is taking flight again. Let me hit it. I hope you're watching on YouTube. You love it. You love it. Evgeny Kuznetsov. If you thought it was over, it ain't over, baby. It ain't over. Evgeny Kuznetsov, he got free last night on the ice and made it a 3-0 game with a snipe that he put past Bob for his first goal with the Hurricanes. This is a man that was waived by the Capitals, 2 weeks ago, assigned to the AHL on waivers. This is someone that was a Hershey Bear a couple days ago. This is someone that has been in the player assistance program this year. And now, I believe last night he was on the top line of the Carolina Hurricanes, one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. And if all goes right and they got to break the glass ceiling, they are a legit contender for the Stanley Cup in the National Hockey League. If you thought it was over, it ain't over. It was such an electrifying moment seeing that on TV because I was watching this game last night. And you know, that got me fired up. From a Hershey Bear to a Carolina Hurricane and producing already with a goal. Watch me end this podcast. I don't know if they play tonight, but watch me end this podcast and he got another goal. All I want to see is him thrive, dude. You just love to see that. And I know a lot of people were supportive of seeing that last night. And it was an electrifying goal. And he went right into the celly. It's like he knew. I'm talking about he went into the celly. It seemed like before the puck was even past Bobrovsky. Exhilarating. If you think it's over for you in life, you can always turn it around, boy. It ain't over for you. And if you thought it was over for Evgeny Kuznetsov, you got another thing coming, and you better think again. Time to wrap up the episode. That does it for me. I'm glad we covered all these topics. I'm very excited, Atlanta, for all the things that's going on right now. Thrashers Night was awesome a couple weeks ago. Y'all didn't get no episode from me last week. I was at Universal. I was on vacation. And last week, it sucked because last week was, there was a lot of trades that went on. Tarasenko's a Panther now. And speaking of the Hurricanes, Jake Gensel's out there in Carolina. Boy, the Hurricanes writing a story right now. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him finish it. Our future rival, one of the teams that we'll be having a battle of the South with in the future. Trade deadline shook up a couple things in the league, so y'all didn't get no trade deadline episode from me or post trade deadline episode from me. Sorry, was on a trip. Was riding roller coasters and stuff. But yeah, that does it for me. So I'm recording this on a Friday night. This will be up on Saturday for y'all to listen to. I always appreciate y'all listening to the Live from Blueland podcast, as always. But yeah, this week I'm going to be going on a trip to Nashville, celebrating my homie's birthday. But I'm going to get back into the content. It should be Monday. I have a feeling that something crazy is probably going to happen in NHL news. Listen, when it comes to expansion, we're not moving at warp speed anyway. Bill Daly's already responded to Anson Carter and ASC Group and their formal request and everything. And he was like, although we don't have an expansion process plan right now, it's always great to get, the same thing NHL keeps saying. Like, it's always great to know that there's interest from an assortment of prominent places and stuff like that. So, but it was like what Elliot Friedman said and a number of other sources as well said. Y'all have watched so many podcasts and just stuff on this because, Atlanta's made a lot of headlines with this. Metro Atlanta area has made a lot of headlines with this. Is a lot of people were like, especially because considering Anson Carter is a broadcaster for NHL on TNT. He touched on this briefly on NHL on TNT on Wednesday night. How could he not talk about it? I'm surprised more people didn't repost that, though. I saw somebody just took a video of it and put it on Twitter, but it was like a video with their phone. Like, I'm surprised that didn't circulate more. But, he's one of the NHL's top broadcasters, and then he works in the NHL. He's the co-chair of the Player Inclusion Coalition. So it's like what Elliot Friedman said. He said, this is not getting out without Anson Carter getting some type of wink or green light from the NHL. Atlanta, you know what's coming. And damn it, I don't care what anybody tells you. You deserve it. And it will be back here permanently. And you'll be able to look at everybody who was a naysayer to you and laugh. They setting themselves up. Just let them talk. They setting themselves up. Same way they set themselves up on Thrashers Night. The event that was supposed to be a ghost town with only 6 of us. And then we put the building past capacity. 8,700 seat, but 9,200 people in attendance. Remember that? It seems as if we always end up getting the last laugh, and here it comes again, right? But in terms of things that are also the last, that is my last remarks. This episode went over again. I give up. I quit. But I don't quit the Live from Blueland podcast. I appreciate y'all listening to me. Y'all know y'all can find me on Instagram. Y'all can find me on TikTok while it's still not banned. Let me tell y'all something. I don't know what I know the bill's going to the Senate now, and then we'll see what happens from there. It should get passed in the Senate. TikTok is probably going to get banned. This is the 5th straight year, though, that we've been saying that. So, I know y'all following me on other platforms. Obviously, I'm going to continue to make content and grow my other platforms. My Instagram's starting to grow pretty rapidly and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm Blueland Heiress everywhere, baby. I'm going to be back. I don't have anything going on next week, so I'll be back for episode 5, and who knows what will change in the hockey world then. But Atlanta, The formal request has been made. Hourglass moment. Just wait on it. But we got multiple groups here trying to bring it to Blueland. Is this a bidding war? Who are you backing? Who are you supporting the most? Who are you favoring to get the NHL back to the ATL? I guess we'll see who emerges. In the end, though, the A gonna win. I'm gonna see y'all next week for the next episode. I'm out.